What is the best example of breaking the fourth wall you have seen from a movie, TV show, or video game? I think the funniest one is still from Jumanji. Peter runs out to the shed to grab an axe, finds it locked, and picks up an axe to break the lock. After a couple swings he just stops, looks at the axe, then looks into the camera for a couple seconds. With how wild that movie is, it is a moment that stands out because you just don't expect it and it is perfect. Reminds me of that scene from King of the Hill, where Hank needs some WD-40 to open something. The cap on the WD-40 is stuck and he uses a travel-sized WD-40 to help open the regular WD-40 to use. Robin Hood, Men in Tights. When Robin loses the archery competition. I lost? I'm not supposed to lose. Let me see the script. Everyone pulls copies of the scripts out of their pockets or from under their chairs and flips to the scene they're in the middle of. Oh, I get another shot. Prince John and the sheriff grudgingly agree that the script does indeed say that. Also in Men in Tights, when King Richard Sir Patrick Stewart returns from the Crusades, he declares his royal right to kiss Maid Marian, and while laying it in, Rabbi Tuckman, Mel Brooks, looks to the camera and says, "It's good to be the king," a throwback to his earlier movie, History of the World Part 1. Earlier, when the merry men begin training, Robin, Carrie Elwes, looks to the camera and scoffs. On the moon map in COD Zombies, Dempsey has several quotes where he speaks directly to you. One of my favorite being, "If I don't find ammo soon I'm kicking your butt, player." Notice I didn't say shoot, because I need fricking ammo for that. Hey player, put down the chips and get me some ammo. Cartoon Network shows have had some good ones. From Chowder, "Look at what you've done, Chowder. And now the animators have to draw all this fire." This show was literally 95% fourth wall breaking. I love it. From Adventure Time, Finn ponders why anyone would want to be an animator. He then involuntarily punches himself. And of course, the Teen Titans Go episode where they directly address the fourth wall. Ed, and Eddie do it a lot as well. From Chowder, "I remember they had the voice actors do a scene at a car wash because they had no more money to animate." Spaceballs, when Dark Helmet and Colonel Sanders find Lone Star by watching the movie on VHS. And, of course, the birdcage in the Monty Python parrot sketch. Spaceballs has a lot of good ones, though admittedly when they watch their own movie is the best one. But there's also the camera dramatically panning forward until it hits Dark Helmet in the face, and Helmet hilariously pushing Colonel Sanders out of the way just beforehand. President Screw brushing onto the bridge of Spaceball 1, declaring, "This ship's too big. If I walked, the movie would have been over." Dark Helmet accidentally killing a cameraman during the battle with Lone Star. Merchandising, we put the picture's name on everything. Spaceballs, the t-shirt. Spaceballs, the coloring book. Spaceballs, the lunchbox. Spaceballs, the breakfast cereal. Spaceballs, the flamethrower. Kids love that one. And, of course, God willing, we'll all meet again in Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. They've done it a couple times in the Netflix A Series of Unfortunate Events. Count Olaf. In all honesty, I prefer long form television to the movies. It's so much more convenient. Looks at camera. Count Olaf. To consume entertainment from the comfort of your own home. It's because when I'm watching the show I'm not thinking about how evil Count Olaf is scheming to steal an inheritance. All I can see is Barney Stinson pulling a Count Olaf from his playbook to score with Violet Baudelaire. Tracy Jordan to Jenna Maroney on 30 Rock. "I've never made a mistake so I don't totally understand, but I'm here for you, Jane." He called the actress by her real first name, not her character. It's a show within a show. My real name's Tracy Morgan. The first one I ever saw was on That's So Raven when she said who would want to watch a show about a teen physic. It sticks with you. I don't know about a physic but probably a psychic. Funny games when something crappy finally happens to the villains and one of them literally pauses the movie and is like, "Nah, let's rewind and try that again." Why pay for something that we can watch on TV for free? If you ask me, everyone in this theater is a huge sucker, especially you. Points at camera. Homer Simpson. Frasier had a couple good ones. Niles mentioning that Daphne had lost 9 pounds and whatever ounces after her actress gave birth. Also the line, "Do you have any idea what it's like playing a character for 20 years in the last season after Kelsey Grammer had played the character for about 20 years? OMG, the 20 years line made me cry with laughter." In the first Batman Arkham Asylum game, Scarecrow has a few scenes where he poisons Batman, sending him into a horrifying hallucination. But well near the end of the game, without warning, the screen starts to show graphic artifacts that would indicate your video card or game console is overheating. This is a huge red flag because by the time you're getting this, your device is probably ruined. Your heart sinks. You get cold chills knowing how expensive it will be to replace. Then Scarecrow laughs like a maniac and you realize he reached through the fourth wall to frighten you personally. I legit thought my disc was broke when this happened. Turned the game on and off a few times. The last shot of the season finale in season 4 of OITNB. Halsey staring into the camera after they show the flashback of her big night in Manhattan. Gives me chills every time. I miss her so freaking much. Ugh. In Trading Places, when the Duke brothers are explaining commodities trading to Eddie Murphy's character, one of the brothers references bacon like you might find in a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich. Eddie looks straight at the camera and gives one of the best "is this guy freaking serious right now" looks. Ferris Bueller breaks the fourth wall throughout the entire movie, but it's done in a way that adds perfectly to the story. Beast Wars had a great one during the second season finale, The Agenda, Part 3. The Maximals are defending themselves from the Predakan-controlled Ark when this conversation happens. Ratrap, oh man. That ship wasn't built, it was poured. Optimus Primal, die-cast construction turns to audience, it's a lost art. Original Monkey Island had some great ones. After getting the insult sword fighting lessons, I can't help but feel like I've been ripped off. Stares directly at the camera. I expect you're feeling something similar. Or the part where you try to squeeze through a narrow gap and the game keeps asking for you to insert disc 259 and a bunch of other ones that don't exist before Guybrush goes, "Well, I guess I'm not going in there." The British TV show Hustle, about a team of con men. Oftentimes the con men's mark would try to put one over them by giving them exactly what they wanted, and somebody would look at the camera and dong his head. Also, in the middle of a spirited group discussion about how to conduct the hustle, one of the characters not involved would turn to the audience and give them a little wry background on the issues. Then someone would scream, "Are you paying attention?" at him, and he'd back off from the fourth wall. They didn't overdo it. Extremely entertaining. I used to love Hustle. It was so well done. Goodfellas. The whole movie is narrated mostly by Henry Hill, Ray Liotta's character, but at the end where he just stands up in court and starts talking directly to the camera, while everyone else freezes. Right, and the next scene in Witness Protection he talked to the camera too. For that matter, for the rest of his life the real Henry Hill never stopped talking to the cameras. That's So Raven had an episode where Eddie gets psychic powers as well, and when someone says, "Wow, Eddie, you should have your own show," Raven says something along the lines of, "That's stupid. Who would watch a show about a teen psychic?" and she does this really funny smile at the camera. That one always sticks out in my mind. From Corner Gas, Hank to Lacey, see what I mean? You can sell any kind of crap with a well-placed ad. Cuts to ad for the Corner Gas Season 4 DVD box set. TNG, ship in a bottle, Pika. Our reality may be very much like theirs, and all this might just be an elaborate simulation, running inside a little device sitting on someone's table. In Californication, DeChanvey's wearing a suit and makes a joke about looking like an FBI agent, then he winks at the camera. Funny Games uses it as the punchline that underscores and illustrates the thesis of the film. It may not be everybody's favorite example, but it's probably easily the one that's most essential to the overall movie show, the most expertly executed, and the one with the most artistic depth. I know there's no way to say this without sounding pretentious, but Haneke really is a genius. At the end of Matt Smith's run as the 11th Doctor on Doctor Who, he looked directly into the camera and said, "I'll always remember when the Doctor was me." Amazing moment. I personally love the quick glance at the camera at the end of 500 Days of Summer, when he learns the new girl he wants to date after summer is named Autumn. The Big Short. Various times it happens, but in my opinion, the best is when they explain that the scene they just did wasn't entirely true. In VA11 Hall A, Anna tries to prove that she can interact with physical objects, but all she manages to do is change the UI color, then gets confused when she can't see any change. It stays that color for the rest of the game. When Bugs Bunny doesn't fall while standing in midair and says to the camera, "I know this breaks the law of gravity, but I never studied law." From Super Paper Mario, what is this A button I speak of? I assure you that if we are being watched from another dimension, those beings will understand. Everyone's going with obvious examples, but here's one you never even noticed before. In 2001, A Space Odyssey, there's a sequence at the end where Bowman finds himself in some kind artificial, enclosed space, being watched by the aliens. One of the last shots in that room is Bowman in bed, dying of old age. The camera jumps to a position that is to be outside of the room, literally breaking a wall we've just seen in another shot. The film ends with the reborn space child Bowman staring directly at the audience, and music that continues for 4 minutes after the credits are over, where you find yourself staring at a black rectangle of the same proportions as the one we've seen in the movie. The monolith is the fourth wall. I'll go with the classic. Groucho Marx in horse feathers. Chico is giving Thelma Todd a piano lesson, and a whole lot more, while Groucho and her father are sitting on the couch on the other side of the room. The father states he likes good music. Grouch responds, "So do I. Let's get out of here. Sit down." Groucho gets up, walks towards the camera and says, "I've got to stay here, but there's no reason why you folks shouldn't go out into the lobby until this thing blows over." In Jack 3, one of the monks is explaining the situation and Daxter makes a joke. The monk responds, "This isn't a game," and then both Jack and Daxter look at the camera. Definitely at the end of The Witcher 3 expansion Blood and Wine, Geralt breaking the fourth wall was a fantastic way to end the game. I believe we've earned a bit of a rest. That we do. That moment in Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of Patriots, when you are prompted to insert disc 2 after entering a certain zone. Then a few seconds later Otacon calls and says something along the lines of, "Oh, I forgot we were on Blu-ray. We don't have a second disc." It was great afterwards, but I almost had a meltdown looking for that second disc. South Park Stick of Truth, when you try to talk to Cartman's mom and he says don't talk to her, she's not part of the game. All of Spaceballs, and that video where some guy on YouTube suggests the theory quite well and with plenty of evidence that the Joker is actually aware of us and breaks the fourth wall more than better than Deadpool, just not in such a douchy way. It's a Scottish-Irish show starring Winnie and Mavis, and basically this one scene where the family is at a bar, but the grandmother forgets her bag. In one shot, you see the grandmother walk from the bar set to the home set without a cut, so you see the wall. For a subtle recent one, I argue for Moana. In Maui's big song, he has a line, "What can I say except you're welcome?" For the tides, the sun, the sky. He's dancing as he goes through the line, and doing gestures. As he gets to the sun, he holds his hands up, cupping the sun in his hands. Except Moana can't see this. She's in the wrong location. Only the audience can see this action as holding the sun. Therefore Maui can break the fourth wall. Makes some sense as a bit of a trickster. Also, if you wear a dress and have an animal sidekick, you're princess. Surprised I haven't seen Boston Legal mentioned. Alan Shaw, referring to a book about parasites found on salmon. This book, A Stain Upon the Sea, it's all about these sea lice. Denny Crane, interesting. Alan Shaw, they call them Klingons. Denny Crane, William Shatner, did you say Klingons? They constantly break the fourth wall, but this is the best example. Hands down. During the presidential debates when Trump would say something absurd and Hillary would look right at the camera like, Are you freaking kidding me? It was hilarious. Perfect comedic timing. Not so funny now, though. There's a scene in one of the old, best, Pink Panther movies where Kato has to stand on Peter Sellers' shoulders, and just before that Peter Sellers had placed a cream pie or something under his hat. Kato ends up stepping on Sellers' head, smashing the pastry, leading Sellers to look at the camera in exasperation. A certain yellow flower helped tell a story that can only be effectively told by breaking the fourth wall, and goddang was it a good story. Parks and Rec when Ben looks at the camera when someone says something dumb strange. Noah and MTV scream when he talks about slasher movies or when they analyze the horror genre in class. Assassin's Creed 2 had a pretty good break of the fourth wall. After playing it for like 20 hours it kinda freaked me out a bit when a character started speaking directly to the third person camera. I remember a few years back Madden had a rewind mechanic that lets you replay a down that you didn't like, more likely when you gave up a pick. They have since gotten rid of it, and the most recent Madden added a commentary when you threw a pick that went like, yeah, this is real life John and you can't redo a bad play. This isn't like a video game. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.